Welcome back, everyone. We have another Ori race. We're just going to sort of jump right into things. The race we have coming up here is again out of the Thornfelt Swamp group. It's going to be between Mad Insane and Willson. On commentary, my name is Grimelius, and I'm joined by Sparrock. What's up, Sparrock?
What's up, Grimelius?
How are you doing? Did you watch the race earlier?
Yeah, I watched both of the races, and I must say, I think it's pretty cool how Thornfelt Swamp is kicking this day off in a really great manner.
Yeah, that's right. This is Mad Insane's second match of the day. We had a match at, well, just earlier today, and then we had an hour break, and now we have this match here. So Mad Insane is just not literally back-to-back, but he has almost back-to-back races. Sparrock, do you want to quickly introduce one of these guys, maybe Willson?
Yeah, Willson, he was a former world record holder. Actually, like 2 days ago, his world record was beaten by Uncle Ronnie, only by about 6 seconds or so. So Willson is a really, really, really skilled Ori player. And yeah, he's also going to do some pretty hard and crazy tricks. And it's going to be really interesting to see him do his race. Though he hasn't had much time to practice, to be honest. He still managed to get a low 30 last race. And I think he's looking to improve that time by even more in this race.
I agree. And as we can see by Wilson's PB, as you said, Sparrock, he had the world record until just 2 days ago, and then Ronnie decided to be awesome at the game. Willson, with a time like that, is not only capable of improving his best race time, I mean, he's going to be going for everything. If it's fast, you can assume that Willson will probably go for it. Willson also made our wonderful intro video. So if anyone has been enjoying that throughout this tournament, you can thank Willson. And then, so that's one side. On the other side of the aisle, we have Mad Insane. Matt is someone who's been with Ori for quite some time as well, although I think he's spent more time overall with the randomizer mod than all skills, but he's still a very good all skills runner. He has a PB of 3703, so there is a pretty big disparity there between Willson and Mad Insane's PBs. So as with many races where we have sort of this kind of a PB difference, especially going against someone like Willson, it's always possible that Mad will clinch a victory, but it is very unlikely. So we're really just going to be looking for, hopefully, both runners to improve their best race time. We could maybe even see a PB out of Mad if he can keep things nice and clean. Wouldn't you say, Sparrock?
Yeah, definitely. The Mad Insane in his last race actually was on a really good pace, and he messed up Sorrow Pass a little bit. So if he gets this nicely, he might actually PB this time.
Well, I don't know anyone else who's ever messed up Sorrow Pass. I think Mad was the first person to ever do so in the history of Ori.
Yeah, right. Sorrow Pass. It's actually called Happiness Pass in the community because it's pretty easy, honestly.
It's completely free, as they say in speedrunning. We are getting kicked off here. Willson is on the left and Mad Insane is on the right. As always, we're probably not going to see pretty much any differences in the early game because there's just not that much to optimize. All you can do is run and jump. Maybe you can shave off like frames here and there. If it wasn't obvious by the fact that both runners are jumping constantly, jumping is very, very slightly faster than running. We also see Willson on the left decided to activate a color code, which doesn't really change anything about your speed, but it looks nice, so that's kind of fun. And otherwise, we're going to be coming up to Sign in just a moment. As expected, we're pretty much exactly tied.
That's right, picking up our buddy Sign here. Sign is our main way of attacking. We couldn't attack that Rhino before because we didn't have Sign, but now that we have Sign, we actually will directly put him to use and gonna have our Funky fight here. I'm expecting both of those runners to do pretty decent on Funky fight. It's not too hard, and both of them using the same input method, as you can see right there, not having any problem with this fight.
That's right. The Frankies have chairs, but we have laser guns, so Ori was able to win that fight, and we'll be winning lots of other fights. Willson finished that fight like a tiny little hair later. It's always kind of fun trying to do sort of play-by-play and race updates in the early game because everyone is always so close that it isn't really worth much. Willson actually had a little bit of trouble with his jump, so Mad is going to take a lead by like a second or so. Willson may be able to catch that up if Mad has a 2 health ghost store rather than a 1 health ghost store. Again, not too meaningful in the early game here. Hopefully we won't see any nasty deaths. Those are always pretty rough this early in the run.
Yeah, and it could very well happen, not to curse something, but because we are going for a ghost door, we are trying to get our health down to only 1, so we get the quickest ghost door possible. And it looks like both of them managed to not die setting up for the ghost door. And see, Matt had only 1 health. Willson actually looked like he had more than 1 health there. So his ghost door was a little slower, and well, he didn't catch up. But since he's taking a slightly different HP route here, he's actually in the lead now.
Can you remind everyone sort of the impacts of Willson skipping that 4th health cell, what it may affect over the course of his run?
Well, it might save like 4 seconds or something in the end, but it's making many things pretty way more difficult. Like there will be Misty Woods coming up, and with 3 health, every spike is insta-kill. So most people will opt to go for 4 health here to make the later parts of the run way easier.
That's right, and I just want to be clear, when we say like a route change, it's not like this is some new tech that Willson is pulling out in the race or something. This is something he always goes for, because even though only a crazy person would go for something as monumentally insane as 3 health, it does save a little bit of time. As you said, Sparrow, it's only like 4, 5, 6 seconds or something. Oh yeah, Kugel is giving me grief because she goes for it too. I maintain my stance though, that only an insane person would go for 3 health, but it does save a tiny bit of time. And I mean, the difference between world record, which Ronnie currently has at a 28:43 compared to Wilson's 28:49, is only 6 seconds. So you need every single second you can get when you're competing for world record.
Yeah, that being said though, Ronnie actually did 4 HP in his world record.
Did he really? I should know that, and I don't. Thank you. So it's not required. I mean, and that's sort of the joke. I mean, we joke about, oh God, Willson, that was spooky. All right, Willson made it through. We joke about 3 health being insane, and it is a little bit faster, but I mean, there is a huge amount of potential time to save in Ori in general. And if you don't believe me, just take a look. There's an outdated version of the All Skills task that has an even 26 minutes. So there is a massive potential of time to save that you don't necessarily need the 4 seconds or 6 seconds or whatever it is from that 4th health cell. But whatever, we're past that. It's old news now. We're on to newer and more exciting things as we head towards Blackroot Burrows, otherwise known as BRB.
Yeah, Blackroot Burrows. To get into Blackroot Burrows, we are setting up a little save anywhere here. That's a trick where we get our ability menu open and we can quit out of it in a way that it actually stays open, but we are able to move in the background. And this allows us to skip a lot of cutscenes during the run. As you can see, our runners both actually skipping a cutscene here that would take a very long time to get quickly into Blackroot Burrows.
That's right. We did see Mad Insane on the right take Rekindle into this area, where you will see many runners decide to take Magnet. Magnet, of course, makes it a little bit easier to pick up experience, and your experience route remains pretty important throughout this section, just like it did pre-wall jump. I don't know offhand whether that's... Mad took a dip in the spikes, and that's going to take it. That's sending him back to the beginning of BRB, so that's bad news for Mad, but it is going to solidify Wilson's lead. That's kind of rough. I was going to make a comment about the spikes, too. I didn't, because I didn't want to curse anyone, but apparently it didn't work. Just, I committed a thought crime, and that was enough to curse them.
Maybe Matt will make a save here this time. No, he actually doesn't make a save, so he's feeling pretty confident about this. Just messed up there a little. But he actually doesn't change his strat here. He's taking the save later, I guess, to manipulate the platform cycle that Willson actually managed to get.
Mm-hmm. He did. We see some nice little figure eights out of Willson, sort of trying to communicate with us with an alien language known as frantic mouse movements. Is he spelling something? No, just sort of moving his mouse.
Yeah, well, as I've been told, basically anything in mouse translates to fuck. So.
Yeah, that's probably true. This whole section, as far as the entire all skills speedrun, I'd say this is probably the most... Oh, Mad missed a cycle on the right. That's kind of rough. This whole area, wouldn't you agree, Sparrow, is sort of more auto-scrolly than most areas in the run?
Yeah, it's pretty slow because of the auto-scrolly, and that's all the more reason why it's important to manipulate these platforms. If they're actually Mad Insane, they're stopping just for a little bit of time. He's trying to manipulate the platform in the next room, so he can actually save on that 8-second cycle that a full platform cycle would take. Yeah.
That is right. It's also just that you have to carry the orb everywhere. So, I mean, you're primarily limited by the platforms, but the platforms aren't even solid unless you're carrying the orb. And it's not like you can do weird wall jumps to get up there because you have to be carrying the orb. But Matt has made it to the dash room at least, has sort of made it through cleanly since that early death. At least he hasn't had more than one really troublesome section, besides missing maybe a cycle here and there. So Willson's going to make it to dash first. This is a skill that's going to let us go real quick. Everybody knows and loves dash. It's also going to grant us access to dash gliding, which is a way to keep some of that dash momentum in the air. You'll all see how it works. It's for anyone who's maybe never seen Ori before, it's not too difficult, I think, to understand the dash skill.
Yeah, dash makes this game pretty fast. Before that, we could only jump around to be faster, but you see Willson is already dashing around like a madman here. Just speed up his game by a lot of time. And Mad Insane actually picking up his dash skill as well, so he's going to be following pretty quickly here, as Willson is on his Frankie walk.
That's right. I wouldn't expect to see any problems with Frankie Walk. I mean, Willson is one of our best runners on the planet, so he's going to be bringing this little forest friend over to the right only to commit an atrocity. Wait for it. Bam, there's the atrocity. Okay, see you, Frankie. And now we're going to head into the Death Gauntlet.
That
Hopefully
was so
not die.
rude.
It was rude. That Frankie was just minding his own business. Well, he's actually trying to squish Ori, so maybe he deserved it. I'm not a philosopher. I don't think I'm well equipped to judge the morality of killing a Frankie.
Yeah, probably not.
So
that...
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that Willson made this area again look pretty easy, but the Death Gauntlet is called Death Gauntlet for a reason. You have to take a dip in the poisoned water, and if you don't get exact jump inputs, that Frankie up there will just kill you. And yeah, it's not a good time. You can't take any safety saves, so Mad Insane actually also making it through the Death Gauntlet, so no major upset this time.
That's right. It is a relief to see both get through. I do want to reiterate that Willson currently only has 3 health rather than Matt's 4. Nice little jump by Mad Insane there. The 3 health versus 4 health thing doesn't make a difference as long as you don't die. So that's good news. Willson has made it to double jump. Willson also earlier got the early grotto cycle or god cycle that Mad Insane is going to be going for right now, and he almost got it. That was so close. Wow.
Yeah, Willson actually got the grotto cycle. That's not a surprise. I've seen him actually practicing this exact grotto cycle before every race he does, I think.
Well, it's super precise, and it's not only just like precise, you get it or you don't. It's possible to die during the trick. There's like 1 frame between the successful frames that can just wreck you and squish your tiny little body. So yeah, like Mad Insane missed the trick, so that's going to cost him about 8 seconds, but he didn't die, so that's a relief.
Yeah, Willson actually was on his grotto skip, another trick that can be pretty precise. He got it second try. It's actually not too hard once you get the movement down. But yeah, as with Ori...
Sorry to interrupt you. I love the little jump that Willson did. That looked really cool.
So I was going to say that with Ori, once you're starting to mess up a trick, it can mess with your head, so you might mess it up even worse, and it can be a really hard time, so it's always great to see people get these tricks first or second try and not really struggling with them too much.
I certainly agree with that. So we're going to see Mad Insane take his, hopefully, singular attempt at this trick. Okay, not singular attempt, but he didn't get a second try either. That's okay. You just have to... Okay, third try. There we go.
Very nice.
Yeah, like you said, it's not a hard trick. It can just sort of give you a little bit of trouble, and then the platform starts swinging, and that's okay. Made it through just fine. Most runners usually don't take more than a few attempts at it once you kind of know what you're doing, I would say.
Yeah, though, learning this trick really hurts your fingers. It's a pretty tight input, series of inputs.
That's right. I want to point out that on the left, Willson skipped the ability cell, the pre-Jinso ability cells, I usually call it, that we'll probably see Mad Insane going for. The reason is that Willson is going to be going for a trick later in the run known as a Crazy Juggle, and doing Crazy Juggle just uses a slightly different experience route, since you don't need to use an ability cell to do the Terra Break. So Willson is able to afford to skip that ability cell. That's going to be a little bit of... time gain is not exactly the right word, but Matt is going to be getting that cell. which means that that's going to be just a little bit of an opportunity for Willson to get a little bit further ahead.
Yeah, Mad Insane is making his way up to Ginzo as well, which Willson just entered. The Ginzo tree is the first and I'd say only dungeon in this game that we really take on in the speedrun.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, and it puts your double jumping to the test. We just picked up double jump, and in Ginzo tree, there's a really lots of double jump techniques that you need to pull off. Willson is trying to go for some talent hopes here, and that's always pretty nice when people get it. He was having a little bit of trouble there, but yeah, now he's through.
Telehops are hard. Willson did have some trouble. It certainly lost him more time than if he had just done the normal strats, but I'm sure Willson wasn't going to let something as silly as telehops defeat him. So he did get through. Keep in mind, Willson only has 3 health through this area, so he's going to have to make sure he manipulates his health properly. That death from Willson was intentional in order to manipulate the cycle. You get this little shooty flower dude to shoot his bullets a little bit more quickly. So Willson is well on his way through the Ginzo tree. He'll be coming up on his mini boss shortly, so we'll see how many cycles or how many cycles it takes for him to defeat that guy, whereas Mad Insane has stopped by the Thornfelt teleporter, is almost to the tree as well.
Yeah, also looking at the time, Mad Insane is having a pretty solid Ginzo entry, I'd say, for his BB time.
I would agree with that. Willson is making short work of this mini-boss on the left side. It is possible to 4-cycle him. It's easier if you have Quick Flame, which Willson does not. Looks like Willson, I believe that was a 5-cycle. It was almost a 4-cycle.
You just missed like 1 shot or something.
Yeah, it's extremely tight. There's a very tight timing window in which you can kill a thing in 4 cycles. So 5 is totally respectable as well, especially a fast 5 cycle. So without Willson is almost to the bash tree, you're going to see another intentional death out of him in just a moment to perform another ghost or glitch. While he's doing that, let's see if Mad Insane can get through some of these early rooms. Looks like he made it through rooms 1 and 2 just fine. He has to do just some more platforming through some portals. He apparently joined Aperture Science as he's moving through this dungeon.
Yeah, but the cake is still a lie, I guess.
It is absolutely a lie. You know what? There is no cake in Ori, to my knowledge. I don't know if forest animals are maybe they're lactose intolerant and they can't have, like, I don't know, dairy products or something like that.
Why there is no cake in Ori, but there is a muffin in Ori, I dare say.
That is true. These are the questions that keep me up at night, I can tell you that much. Willson has bash. He's just making short work of this. Again, Willson was, until 2 days ago, our world record holder. He still has a very close second place, so to say he's good is an understatement. Nice double bash there. He's going to make a safety save on the second platform rather than the first one, then do some bashes up. He has to get 3 different keystones and then take a death in a precise location in order to do his key dupe. Meanwhile, Mad Insane on the right, okay, there's the key dupe for Willson, and Mad Insane is also taking out this mini-boss using the same scroll wheel double shooting little strats that Willson did. Let's see how many cycles Mad can get. Looks like he's plinking away at it just fine. You see that health pool just slowly dropping. Willson's death on the left was a hair slow, but he still got through it just fine. So as Mad Insane killed his first mini-boss, Willson is coming up on the second mini-boss, although the second mini-boss is significantly easier than the first one. There's really nothing to it. You just bash some projectiles, and then you're pretty much done. So, see a mini-boss.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Willson is actually taking this teleporter here. That was a route change. It's not too recent anymore, but we are skipping the final escape in this Ginzo tree here. And that's actually going to have the side effect that the water will stay poisonous throughout the whole run. And that's also the reason why we will be picking up some more health during the course of the run. And why we have to do this sort of backup strat that Willson is going to do here pretty shortly. It's called Swamp Entry. It's one of the most hardest tricks in this run.
It is. It's right up there. It's there's sort of a handful of things that you just sort of have to learn. You don't have to do waterless route. It only saves 30, maybe 40 seconds or so, but most runners will. So see how Willson can do it. Mad took a quick hit on the right side, so I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on both. But left side is currently more interesting. Double bash from Willson. And another double bash got through just fine and propelled himself upward to save just a hair of time. Did not get touched by the Rhino's spiky horn, and he's going to be making it to this door. We'll see him do a quick exit and reload to also grab, hopefully, a successful hyperspeed. Yep, there it is. These are some of the more advanced strats that save you just little bits of time here and there, but as we said, Willson at his current skill level is going to be going for as many of those as possible, even silly strats like that. Oh god, okay, he's good. He's good.
Yeah, I'm sure that was intentional.
It's still scary though. I mean, there are iframes in this game, right? So every time you take damage, there's a small period of time where you are invincible. That's how damage boosting works in this and any game that has damage boosting. That doesn't mean it's not scary though, because your iframes will expire. And if you're just a hair slow, you'll take a spiky doom where you don't want to die. There are a lot of intentional deaths in this run, and hopefully far fewer unintentional deaths.
That's right. As we see, Insane is finishing his the second Ginzo mini-boss here, so he's going to be doing his swamp entry pretty soon. And Willson is already on the way out. He just took the frog there to take another ability cell. We need a lot of ability cells to skip some cutscenes. And speaking of cutscene skip, there's another cutscene skip coming up right here. If Willson does this correctly, you won't notice a thing. And, well, we didn't see anything, so good job there to Willson. He had to bash that frog projectile at a very specific angle to skip a cutscene trigger that would cost him 17 seconds. So that's a cutscene you really don't want to watch, and Willson first try skipping that cutscene, no problem, as expected.
That's right. There are some tricks in speedruns that are super flashy that like you want to really commentate heavily and like showcase and display to the world. Like Swamp Entry, I think from Insane just looks really cool. Even if you've never watched Ori, it's sort of, I think, kind of clear what's happening, right? He's using this frog, he's breaking some barricades in sort of an unintended way. Kuro cutscene is the opposite of that. It doesn't look like anything. It's still a very important trick to get, but it just isn't as flashy. So Mad did accidentally dunk his frog, who never took swimming lessons, dunked it a second time just to show it who's boss, but that's okay. The thing is going to respawn just for endless amounts of usage, and hopefully Mad will have some more luck with it. Obstacle number one is getting the frog into position. That looks better with the double bashes, and now he's going to be using the power of KBM in order to, I think, do another double bash strat, just like Willson did. Yep, there it is. And there we go. Nicely done.
Yeah, third try swamp entry. Could argue first try after he got the frog up there, so that was a pretty good execution by Mad Insane. Let's see if he goes over the hyperspeed. No, he doesn't. He goes for this other weird strat that I've seen some people do.
There are no weird strats in Ori. What are you talking about? All of the strats are reasonable and not ridiculous. Anyway, speaking of ridiculous strats, they want to refresh everyone on what Willson is doing over on the left, or soon will be doing.
What Willson will be doing soon after taking this ability cell is a trick we call fast Stormbless. Stormbless because we actually wouldn't need Storm for this trick. But yeah, he's going to make his way up here and he will bash this spider projectile at a very specific angle. Didn't like that angle. As I said, it's a very specific angle. That looks better. Yeah, so he's racing that projectile, basically trying to make his way over to that ability cell up here, while that projectile is traveling, and now that projectile hits a rock, and that rock hits this big bird right in the face, and triggers a cutscene that actually teleports us down here. So it was pretty important that Willson would get to that ability cell quickly, because otherwise he would have missed that cell after triggering the cutscene, and that would have left him sad and cellless.
Two things that you do not want to be in the world of Ori speedrunning. So with that, Willson has Feather. He leveled up his charge dash ability, which is going to give him access to high-flying rocket jumps like so. He's basically a circus acrobat at this point. He's going to be pulling some more acrobatic stunts in order to use these birds with a series of double bashes to hopefully get through Sorrow Bash nice and clean. This is considered the hardest trick in the game, and Willson just made it look like a cakewalk, even though, as we previously determined, there are no cakes in Ori, so it's not a literal cakewalk. Nice job getting through it, though. I'm expecting Willson will also make very short work of the rest of this area. He's going to be doing another rocket jump in a moment to break a barricade. Then he's going to be using that same frog for Crazy Juggle. So pay attention to the left side right now. This is Crazy Juggle, and each of these stomp cancels that Willson is doing out of his C dashes towards the frog is, I think, at most a 2 to 3 frame window. So if it looks super weird and precise, it is. If you mess up a single one of these, the frog is dead Reno, but the frog is not dead. It is alive, and he is through and will be heading up to Sunstone. GG, Willson.
Mad Insane, on the other hand, got his Kuro cutscene skip. So you didn't actually notice a thing there yet again. And what we did notice, though, is that he took a little bit different XP route from Willson. He's going for early charge dash. That's not too huge of a difference, but we will see in Valley of the Wind going for little bit of a different route there, because he's going to pick up Charge Dash pretty soon here.
That's right. I also just want to point out before we get too far away from it, this is something that is not listed in our official stats that we keep for the tournament, but I know Willson, thank you to Pugel on the stat side for this information. Willson said he was frustrated because he was actually 0 for 3 on his Crazy Juggle attempts. If you do mess up Crazy Juggle, there are backups, which is exactly what Willson did in his other races, but I think Willson will be very pleased with a nice clean Crazy Juggle. He got the Sunstone, now he's made his way all the way over to Charge and Jump, so with this, his next destination is going to be Misty Woods, whereas Mad Insane gets to do some fun stuff as he heads over to the left side of the map as well after skipping the Spirit Tree cutscene.
Speaking of fun stuff, especially since he's going to pick up Charge Dash now, Valley of the Wind is a little bit more fun. While Willson took a small death there, that's not too huge of a death, it shouldn't put him too far behind, though that's of course going to hurt his goal to get best race time in this race.
That's right. I do want to take a moment. We know that Willson on the left is in the lead, which is expected given that Willson is our second place in the world, and there's a pretty huge delta between their PBs. As we said, both runners are really just trying to compete against themselves more than each other. But Mad Insane was actually 2 seconds ahead of his PB at Charge Flame. So we mentioned at the start of this thing that Mad may have potential for a best race time and maybe even a PB, and that dream seems to absolutely be alive. Willson, I think the dream to get a new world record is probably not alive, given how freaking good you have to be to get world record. But Willson, I think, still could still get a best race time. Wilson's best race time, assuming my information is accurate, is a, what did I write down? A 30:16. And so even being, a fair little bit behind his PB, he could still maybe get a sub 30 this run, I think.
Mad Insane got his fast Stompless. So this won't hurt his PB pace at all, I'd say.
I would agree with that. Like you said, missing Fast Stompless or getting Sad Cellus, the dreaded event of any Ori run. Sad Cellus is sad, but Mad Insane got the cell, so he's all fine there. We're going to get to see Mad. He already has Charge Dash because he got it early due to his slightly different experience route, so he can rocket jump immediately. I hope that Mad can get his Sorrow Bash as quickly as Willson did. Mad Insane is a very experienced runner, and he knows how this trick works. That death was intentional just to reset everything, and now we'll see his real attempts. There's
so
a double
he's going
bash.
for the same strat that Willson did there, where he's just double bashing this second burst up to the spikes, and then he's luring him into this area and going for some more double bashing here because he didn't like the position. And nice save with the charge death there. That was pretty close, but he makes Sorrow Bash second try.
Yeah, the hard part about that trick is you have to not only avoid death yourself, but you have to make sure that the bird doesn't touch the spikes either, because the bird will get insta-killed to spikes, just like you will. Actually, Mad Insane has 5 health, so he won't technically be insta-killed, but it's close enough that the point is that they're really scary, and he made it through just fine. So Willson is getting to his mini-boss. Yep, there they go, see a mini-bosses. Those things just evaporate if you know what you're doing. It's very satisfying to see, I think. And Mad Insane is getting to charge jump.
He doesn't go for blind movement just yet, but Mad Insane is doing a trick called Terror Break. Willson was doing Crazy Juggle there. Mad Insane, to break the ceiling, will be doing Terror Break, and for that we need to spend an extra ability point, so that's why he took that ability cell all the way back when we were entering Ginzo there.
Before Mad can do that, he has to float his way back through, probably behind his ability menu. He's going to float back through the Gardetto's greenhouse and hopefully not touch any of these very sharp-looking plants along the way. He shouldn't have any issues. He's going to kind of float low rather than floating high. Float right up towards the top. There's the ability cell. He'll take an intentional death right about now. Well, right about now. There it goes. And there goes the barricade. Cool. That's not a hard trick. You just, it's kind of cool, though. It saves a lot of time, which is cool.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, though, that we have to break Terra each race.
I'm fine with it, personally.
That's what you get for wanting to fight everyone.
Yeah. He abandoned me. It's justified in my mind. Anyway, Willson on the left is just about to grab Light Grenade, his 11th, I think, and final skill of the game. There it is. Sort of float up into the air without a care in the world and absorb the tree's energy. There's a story, like every single one of these trees, there's like a little dead Ori creature that has a name, but I don't know what any of them are. So I think that one's called Soul, actually. So if you're a fan of memes, I know nobody here is a fan of memes, but if anyone knows anyone who's a fan of memes, that's that creature I think is called Soul. I think. Anyway,
Yeah,
what is Matt up to then on the right side, just to sort of check in?
Matt is making his way into Misty right at this moment. Doesn't opt to save, so he seems to be pretty confident in his Misty movement. And Misty Woods we didn't really mention when Willson was there, but Willson did have a really solid Misty Woods. It's an area where we use a lot of charge dashes and cancel them either with a bash or with a storm to keep that energy that we normally would have to use for charge dashes, and this allows us to just zip through Misty Woods. And it's really fun. Misty Woods is one of the greatest area in the run.
I agree. It's kind of cool. It's been that way. Let me try that sentence again. Misty Woods is a lot of fun now. It was also a lot of fun back in vanilla, kind of no matter what version of the run you're doing. It's just a lot of fun to traverse the area. On the right side, Willson has almost made it to Mount Horu with a nice grenade jump to land right in front of the door. He's going to be taking his, I say attempts, hopefully just one attempt at door warp, as always, to refresh everyone's memory. It's a frame-perfect trick that skips the entire dungeon. Like early in the run, Spare, when you said we only do one dungeon, this is why. We do the first dungeon, most of it, skip the second dungeon, and we skip pretty much the entirety of the third dungeon. That's okay. Willson didn't get it first try, but he can take as many attempts as he wants. There it is, second try. Well done.
Second try door warp, and this actually puts him on a really nice pace. I think the low 30 is again in his reach if he gets his perfect escape here.
It is absolutely within his reach. As Willson is getting started with his culmination sequence, Matt took a death on the right side. I was about to say that Matt Insane was 20 seconds ahead of his PB at Climb Tree. He'll probably be slightly behind now with that death, but Matt absolutely has either a PB or maybe a new best race time is still within reach of him. So for now, direct your attention over to the left side. I want to see how well Willson can get through this. He's going to be doing some charge flames and some charge dashes. Pretty soon he has the poison water coming up, so Spheric, I'll let you sort of cover the next few parts here.
This poisonous water is really tight. We have to bath these two friendly fish here to actually make it quickly to put through the water, because as you can see, Willson is only down on 1 HP now. If he were to swim through that area, he would have died there. And yeah, that's the reason why we had to pick up 5 HP, because we just couldn't make this, because we skipped the clean waters by not doing the Ginza escape. And
good.
Yeah, that final grenade jump there is to skip the half of the end cutscene. So Willson executing that grenade jump saves about 35 seconds of time, but it has the potential to soft lock, so it's always it's a pretty scary trick where, yeah, when you're in a close race, you probably wouldn't go for it if you knew that you'd win the race, because that soft lock potential, it can mess up a pretty good run.
That's right, but Willson had good luck. We'll get confirmation on his final time shortly. So GG to Willson taking the victory. As we said, we always expected Willson to take this victory. I mean, he could beat anyone else on the planet, so his victory was not unexpected. But still put up a very good time. This is not a PB, which is not saying much. It also was not a best race time, but it was almost a best race time. So it looks like 30:23 is confirmed as Willson's final time. That's not going to beat his best race time of 30:16, but I mean, that is some consistency right there. I would be very happy with that personally.
That consistency from the top runners amazes me every time.
Right. I love that the reaction to Willson's like, oh, he only got a 30:23. He didn't get like a 28 or something. Like, it's ridiculous. It's such a good time. It's only when you are directly comparing to his PB or, you know, some of our other top runners like Elo and Ronnie that time is comparatively slower. It's still phenomenal. So GG to Willson. Hopefully we'll get an interview. Actually, wait, no, we will not be interviewing Willson. He just said that in SRL, so thank you, Willson, for that information. But he's happy that he got Sea Juggle. So I can convey that information.
Alright, Mad Insane showing us how mad he actually is. He goes for another save anywhere here, where he has to traverse this whole area with lots of deadly spikes and lasers, practically blind, just to save on a few seconds here to Yeah, there we go. Skip this cutscene by leveling another ability. If he wouldn't go for that save anywhere, uh, at the moment he did, he had to save there. And just now I saw he was actually out of energy, so that's probably the reason why he made that save anywhere.
You could say that he's both mad and insane to attempt such a thing. But he did it successfully. So apparently it's the good kind of insane.
Another mad and insane trick coming up here.
That's right. That trick is known as the grenade jump. We've already seen it from Willson, and we will be seeing it again from Mad at least one more time at the end of the escape. Maybe more times on the way through Horror Fields to Mount Horu. I'm also curious if we'll see like a rocket jump. Okay, Mad is just sort of doing the slightly slower but also sort of easier, more consistent strats to get out of there. We'll also be seeing Mad probably grab this health cell. Yep, there it is. I believe that will be 6 health total for Mad Insane, so he's going to have a little bit of an easier time with the poison water in the final escape, so that's good news for him.
Also, our stats people told us that he's a good 14 seconds ahead of his PB at this very moment. So we might actually see a race PB here from him, which would definitely make Mad Insane happy. He's been hoping to get that PB for a long time.
I really, really hope so. I'm just sort of sending my energy. The next major obstacle is assuming that Mad can get to the door of Mount Horror without issues, which he probably will be able to, unless I cursed it. His next obstacle is going to be door warp. Each missed attempt at door warp only costs you a few seconds, but it still is a few seconds, and so let's hope that he can get it quickly.
Yeah, the infamous door warp has destroyed many PBs to this day.
That's right. Do you have any predictions? Should we even predict?
I'd love to see a first try here, just because he's on PB pace. And I think Mad Insane doesn't have too much problem on door warp. So yeah, I'm rooting for first try here.
Me too. I'm with you. It's going to be a first try. Come on, Mad.
Ah.
That's okay.
Well, second try then.
Almost. This is a one-frame trick. It's hard because it's a one-frame trick. But he got it third try. That's fine. That's not going to be very much time loss.
Third try. So a clean escape, and this will be a PB.
Yes. With certainty, we can guarantee that it will be a PB. It is impossible to make mistakes in the final escape.
Yeah, it's also impossible to softlock. I don't know what I talked about there back then.
Yeah, neither do I. Maybe it was, well, there's really no point discussing it because it's not going to happen. So Matt is going to be zooming his way through this escape. He has to avoid all damage, which he's definitely going to do because, as we have said, we've already confirmed as a fact that he's going to get a PB. So there's really nothing to worry about, right, Sparrock?
Yeah. So not
scary.
I'm not. I don't know how to put this else, but he's making his way through the poisoned water now, taking this frantic fish, and there we go. Actually, only took 4 health damage there, so pretty clean swim by him. And now he's coming up on his grenade jump, and should he get this first try, it will be a PB.
This is it, dude. He's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. I believe.
He will get it. I believe. I believe too.
All right, he's just testing, just making sure the jump works. It still does. Oh, and energy is restored. It's fine. Fine, still has the energy. He needs half an energy for this trick to work. He still has the energy. He just needs to get the timing of the buttons correctly. And he's through. No soft lock.
He's through. Nice one. Yeah, that must be a PB. Like he had a 37.3.
Yeah, that's right. So that's absolutely a PB. As we said, it was a fact. So I don't know why we're excited. Like we already knew it was going to happen. It was, just guaranteed.
You gotta pretend.
Yeah, gotta oversell it a little bit. So that is going to be a PB for Mad Insane. By extension, it will also obviously be a new best race time. That's just sort of the way that it works. So GG to Mad Insane. As we said going into this, it was going to be almost impossible for Mad Insane to take a victory, but in competing against himself, he definitely came out victorious. He should be proud of that run.
It is indeed a 36.28 for his final time here, so that's a good 35 seconds of PB time there. And at his skill level, PBing by 35 seconds that's pretty decent. he can be pretty happy with that.
Agreed. So GG to both of our runners. As we said, Willson is unable to interview, although he was. I have the SRL chat open, and he was like spamming like, yes, like he got it. Jesus Christ, GG mad. So that's really awesome to see. I don't know. I think that's just great in these kind of scenarios. Like, yes, it is a race. Yes, it is competitive, but everyone's always cheering on. You always want your opponent to do incredibly well, just be like 1 second slower than you. And in a race like this, that Willson already won, at that point, you just want your opponent to do as well as they possibly can. And getting a PB is just fantastic, especially in a race like this. It makes for a good submission video. Just like, watch the race. There's my submission video.
Yeah, that's correct.
Totally. So that'll do it for the race today. We are gonna update everyone on stats and whatnot, not shortly, and then we'll sort of close out here. As I said, Willson isn't able to interview, so we're not going to interview Mad Insane either. We'll just sort of keep this an interview-free zone for today, which is okay. Who would want to talk to us anyway? I wouldn't want to. So as you can see from the updated stats, that is going to be Willson's final match out of the group and Mad Insane's final match. So Willson is 4-0, so took a clean sweep out of his group. Well done to him. Mad Insane is ending at 2-2. So also, GG to him. Mad's best race time is now his new PB at 36:28, compared to Willson's best race time, which is not his PB, but it's still really freaking good at a very, very low 30. That was a cool match, wasn't it?
That was pretty cool. I think Mad Insane has shown everyone that he knows how to play this game today, because he had 2 matches today, and both of these matches were pretty solid. And in both of these matches, he improved by a lot. So he's definitely going to be an opponent to watch out for when we come to brackets.
I agree. I have to say, it's just wonderful in a tournament like this. You have a lot of people I think join this tournament like after the AGDQ race at 2018. Mad Insane was not one of them. He was with the game long before that. But I just love to see when you have a tournament like this, you get so many people who improve so much. Because unsurprisingly, when you have a whole community of people that are constantly grinding the all skills category, people get a lot better. So we saw a PB from Mad Insane today. We've seen a lot of other PBs in other races, and I'm sure we will see many, many more PBs to come in the future in our remaining group stage matches and the bracket stages, which are going to be coming up sooner than you may think. Our group stages only have a few days remaining.
It's a pretty exciting weekend though. So Saturday and Sunday we still have a lot of group stage matches.
We do indeed. So as I said, we're not going to interview. We'll go ahead and close up shop here. We don't have any more Ori for you immediately, but we are going to have more Ori tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern time. That's going to be Cheese Lover versus Fant. So if you want to see more Ori, come back at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight. Otherwise, on this channel, we have Super Mario Sunshine coming up, presumably on the hour, so like 17-ish minutes from now, I would assume. So if you want to see some Sunshine, go ahead and stick around. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure commentating with you, Sparrow.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure commentating with you, Grimelius.
Fun times. You had bad jokes and
definitely
and
no
bad memes. No bad jokes, only good jokes, only good memes,
yeah.
And more importantly,
we don't meme.
No memes in Ori. Strictly
no memes.
Disallowed. Okay, see you later. Enjoy Sunshine. Come back for Ori later. Have a good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Have a nice evening. Correct, you won't notice a thing, and well, we didn't see anything, so good job there to Willson. He had to bash that frog protect.
Anything, it's still a very important trick to get, but it just isn't as flashy. So Mad did accidentally dunk his frog who never took swimming lessons, dunked it a second time just to show it who's boss, but that's okay. The thing is going to respawn just for an That looks better with the double bashes, and now he's going to be using the power of KBM in order to, I think, do another double bash strat, just like Willson did. Yep, there it is. And there we go. Nicely done.
Yeah, third try swamp entry. Could argue.
Like so, he's basically a circus acrobat at this point. That's going to be pulling some more acrobatic stunts in order to use these birds with a series of double bashes to hopefully get through Sorrow Bash. Nice and clean. This is considered the hardest trick in the game, and Willson just made it look like a cakewalk, even though, as we previously determined, there are no cakes in Ori, so it's not a literal cakewalk. Nice job getting through it, though. I'm expecting Willson will also make very short work of the rest of this area. He's going to be doing another rocket jump in a moment to break up. It is a, what did I write down? A 30-16. And so even being, you know, a fair little bit behind his PB, he could still maybe get a sub 30 this run, I think.
Matt is saying
really awesome.
got his up to the spikes, and then he's luring him into this this area and going for some more double bash here because he didn't like the position. And nice save with the charge death there. That was pretty close, but he makes Sorrow Bash.
Technically be insta-kill, but it's close enough that the point is that they're really scary, and he made it through just fine. So Willson is getting to his mini-boss. Yep, there they go, see a mini-bosses. Those things just evaporate if you know what you're doing. It's very energy. There's a story, like every single one of these trees, there's like a little dead Ori creature that has a name, but I don't know what any of them are. So I think that one's called Soul, actually. So if you're a fan of memes, I know nobody here is a fan of memes. Back in vanilla, kind of no matter what version of the run you're doing, it's just a lot of fun to traverse the area. On the right side, Willson has almost made it to Mount Horu with a nice grenade jump to land right in front of the door. He's going to be taking his skip the second dungeon, and we skip pretty much the entirety of the third dungeon. That's okay. Willson didn't get it first try, but he can take as many attempts as he wants. There it is, second try. Well done.
Second try door warp, and this actually puts him on a... If he gets his perfect escape here.
It is absolutely within his reach. As Willson is getting started with his culmination sequence, Matt took a death on the right side. I was about to say that Matt Insane was 20 seconds ahead of his PB at Climb Tree.
Second try then.
Almost. This is a one-frame trick. It's hard because it's a one-frame trick. But he got it third try. That's fine. That's not going to be very much time loss.